and welcome to episode 50 of the Slow Crafting Podcast. My name's Nadine and I'm coming to you today from the northwest of England near Manchester. Now, today might be a little bit all over the place because I've been not quite with it in terms of sorting out my recording schedule for the podcast. What with birthdays, stomach bugs and general world chaos, I've not been on the ball, but this is primarily a podcast about knitting, spinning, crochet, sewing, whole range of fibre crafts, and trying to bring an element of sustainability and slow living and slow fashion into my crafting endeavours. Right, today we'll do a bit of a catch up on what I have been doing. At the moment I haven't really knitted in over a week, what with one thing and another, so it feels a bit odd, but before that I was quite productive and I have done some sewing this week as well, so I have got quite a few bits to show you. Right, I'll start with this little fella here. Now, I can't remember the name of the pattern or the lady that designed it, so I shall put that on the screen down here below. But I made the mistake of showing the pattern for this to my daughter, who's obsessed with dragons, before sometime last year, and she was adamant that she wanted one for her birthday, which was a couple of weeks ago. So there is wings. They don't stand up because I'm incapable of following instructions, so they just lay flat, and he's not got any safety eyes because we didn't have any, so he's just got dints where his eyes should be. But yes, now I hate doing amigurumi. As you can see, this is quite a lot of amigurumi, and it's also worked in pieces and then sewn together, so there's a lot of work involved in this. Now, it's a paid for pattern, and I can see why it's a paid for pattern, because there is a lot of work that the designer has done to create this absolutely amazing thing. The real ones look better than this one. This one reflects my hatred of amigurumi. But the pattern itself is 105 pages long. Now, admittedly, there are a lot of photographs in it to help you work through the patterns, but that's still a big pattern, and it was quite daunting when I opened it up and saw just how long it was, but it was very much worth it. I don't think I'll ever be making another one. But that's due to my own attitude towards crochet toys rather than anything to do with the pattern. The pattern was brilliant. It talks you through each and every single step, including how to stiffen it with wire and insert the wires for the wings. We didn't have any of the wires, and so this has actually got bicycle spokes in its wings, so it's not a cuddly bed toy. I will say that much. It's one for sitting and looking at, possibly more than playing with. But she loves it. She's very happy with it. I used leftover yarns, so for the main body I used some sock yarn that I had left over from knitting some socks for her for Christmas. I bought the sock yarn knowing that I wanted to make the dragon with it as well as the socks, and I held that double with some alpaca and silk fingering weight. I think it was just a drops blend that I had left over from knitting myself a t-shirt about 3.5, maybe 4 years ago, so that was quite good. And then the same blend but in black to do the chest and the scales, so that's alpaca and silk as well, and that was left over from the cardigan that I knitted for my smallest daughter at Christmas. And then the wings and the tip of the tail and the ear frills, that was crocheted using some Collinette Jitterbug. My very last ball. So I finally used up all the minis that I had. My friend Lisa and I bought some. Oh, I was pregnant with Ingrid at the time, so it's over 7 years ago, 7.5 years ago, and we bought some bags of minis of Collinette Jitterbug from a wool show, and both of us have cursed the day that we bought them because it's taken forever to find something suitable to use them all up in. But that was my last ball, so I'm all done now. I'll have to say how Lisa's getting on with hers. But yes, that's one finished dragon, and it's beautiful, but I won't be making another because it was a lot of work. And I'm hiding the pattern because the designer has a pattern for a piece of amigurumi that's half unicorn and half mermaid, but it's massive. So I'm hiding that from my youngest, because if she sees that, she will want that, and I'm done. So that was that. What else have I been making? Oh yes, for my daughter's birthday, I made, for my youngest, I made some crochet flannels, Facecloths, for her birthday last year, and since I made those, my eldest has been a little bit jealous, so I used some scraps just to make her some washcloths, and she's got another one as well which is green with an orange border, so yeah, just basic squares for that. I did a fancy border on that, but that was only to use up as much of the cotton as I could. I think this was left over from making some Facecloths for my brother's little boy, and these were scraps left over from making a blackout blind that I still haven't finished actually, for the girls' bedroom. Yeah, so she was over the moon when she got those, because she's got her own flannels now. And because I was making some for her, I decided to make some for my other half as well. Now, he's obsessed with the like dishcloths that I crocheted for him, and when he saw that my daughter got these, he was trying to convince her to give them to him for washing the pots with, and she was having none of it. So when it was his birthday this week, so I made some for him, and I did half expect him to start using them for washing up rather than for washing his face. So, but no, he'd put them in the airing cupboard, so he clearly plans to use them for what I made them for, which is good. Now, these are just basic shapes made up as I went along. So there's a star one and there's a circle one. This one I did follow a free online pattern for, but basically it's a waffle. There's lots of these. It's basically, if you search for waffle, crochet waffle face cloth, it should bring up a pattern, because I can't find it now. I searched for it, found it, made it, and then cleared my history, and then I have no access to it anymore. So but yeah, I think it was worked in repeats of 3, and then you do 2 ordinary treble crochets and then 1 front post crochet all the way across, and then on the back you do it the opposite way around, so you do 2 front post crochet and 1 ordinary treble, and that's made that lovely textured cloth. And they were just scraps of bits that I had left over from other projects, so this was given to me out of somebody else's stash, and I've used it to make a blanket for my girls, and it's been in something else, and I think I'm down to the last maybe 3 grams or something of the cotton for that, so that's quite good in terms of using up stash and making useful things. Right, other finished projects is this. Just dropped toothpaste on it this morning, just ignore that. This Nightie for my eldest for her birthday as well. So this is, it's a man-made fibre. It's not nice, but it I was using up what I'd got in stash, and it's I quite like the black watch tartan. It's just, it'd be nicer if it was in a wool or a nice natural fibre. But this is the same pattern that I made a nightie with. Well, I say pattern, I used the bodice from a pattern that I already had, and then the skirt sections basically just made out of 2 big rectangles and then gathered at the waist, and then I had to self draft a sleeve pattern to put sleeves on, because the bodice pattern didn't come with a sleeve bit, and she loves it. Yeah, I'd run out of bias binding, so I had to make my own out of some fabric that I already had. Now I did make her a second nightie without sleeves, because she's got like a summer one and a winter one, and I made that with this fabric, which is an old duvet that I made myself a skirt out of last summer. So I used one side of the duvet, and this is a slightly different pattern that was on the reverse of the duvet, but that night is in the wash at the moment, so I can't show you that. But it's all this pattern. So yes, and it's just got a popper here, but she loves it. And I might have a picture that I can insert of her wearing it this morning, shortly before she dropped toothpaste on it. It might even have been after, because I think she had a toothbrush in her hand. Right, so that's that. Yeah, scrap fabric, well not scrap fabric, fabric that was in my stash that had been handed on to me by somebody else's mum when they'd had a clear out of their crafting stash, which is where this cotton had come from as well, actually. So that's that. Got a right pile today. And then yesterday I finished making, oh, she's upside down, this pillow or pillowcase for my youngest daughter, because she went through a phase of being obsessed with ballerinas. She goes in and out of this phase, as well as unicorns and mermaids. But my mother-in-law had bought me some fabric ages ago and said, here, have this for making a pillowcase for Erica. Now the fabric is Poly Pirouette by Harlequin. Don't know where she got it from, but yes, it's got this ballerina on it and a little bit of gold sparkle and a couple of spots. But yes, I think there was maybe a metre and a half of it at most, I think. So I didn't have much choice as to how to cut the pattern. It was like, it fits like this, that's how you're having it. They're the placements of the ballerinas. But it was on my list of unfinished jobs to get done. And she was over the moon yesterday when she came home from school. I went, look, I've finished your pillow. And yeah, straight on a bed. I've had to pinch it back off this morning. And that's one more job to tick off my list. Now, other finished objects include this beauty, but I'm not going to tell you anything more about this today, because this is a pattern that will be coming in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, if I can finish writing off the instructions anytime soon. But yes, speak. So keep an eye out for that one. Now, other things that I've just realised I need to get something. Other unfinished objects that I've been making progress on, or had been making progress on before I stopped doing any knitting. This one had fallen on the floor, so it's a little bit messy. Right, this is the waistcoat, the Debbie Bliss pattern that I'm making for my other half. Now, I was roughly here, because there's a line where it's sat on a needle for a year, when I picked it back up again the other week, and I've now knitted up this far. So I think I'm about a centimetre off where I start shaping for the sleeves, or armholes. So this is the back of it, and it's using some Waffle Mill yarn from what was my local wool shop, but is now an online shop only, and it's my favourite wool to knit with. So it's a little bit rustic and a little bit fluffy and sheepy, very, very sheepy. So I've just started on my second ball. Now, that's because I've knitted the pockets already. I did the pockets as my gauge swatch, because the patch pocket's on the front. So I've got another 3 balls plus what's left of this ball. Yes, yeah, because there's 5 in a pack. So I'm wondering if I'm going to have enough to actually put sleeves on it, because the pattern itself is for a cardigan with sleeves, and he would like a cardigan with sleeves, but I didn't think I'd have enough yarn, so I was doing it as a waistcoat. But fingers crossed, if there's enough yarn, I might be able to put sleeves on it. We'll see. We'll see. So that's that one. And my other knitting project that I have on the go is this colourful creation here. Now, I have, well, what should be 8 inches of ribbon, 2x2 ribbon, but it's actually 7.5 because I got bored. And then the start of the rest of the bum section of some Maya's Mamalukkas. So they're knitted shorts. So this is the waist, and it folds down, and then the rest of the shorts are worked sort of downwards. And I've knitted a pair before. I knitted some a couple of years ago in a what looks like tiger stripe wool when it's worked up, but I've got rainbow ones today, and this is knitted in some shop and wool. It's a Zauber ball, a crazy Zauber ball, but it's the lace weight one, and I had 2 balls of it that my friend gave me, and I decided it was too thin for me to knit anything with, so I plied them together to make a fingering weight, and these worked on 2.5mm needles. So yes, and the Maya's Mamalukkas is a free pattern through the Yarbo website. Yarbo's a Swedish yarn company, when it first comes up, the website is in Swedish, but you've got the option to change it into English if you need to. There might be other language translations available as well, I think. But yes, so it's gone back to the black and the blue, and it'll work its way back through the rainbow section for the bottom. Now, by the time I finish these, the weather might have improved and I won't need woolly knickers anymore, but they will always come in handy. So hopefully I'll find the motivation to pick up and knit on these at some point soon. Now, as you will have noticed, these are no longer connected, and that's because when I was knitting on it last, the cat, Eddie, decided that he was very interested in my project and wanted to know what I was knitting, and destroyed it, so he was in trouble. But yes, that's that. Oh yeah, if you're wondering about my headscarf today, this is my attempt to stop touching my face so often. Obviously with the whole panic about coronavirus at the moment. You might have noticed in other videos I am very much a face toucher, and part of that I noticed is moving hair out of my face. So it's not a full head wrap, it's just a hairband. So the rest of my hair is uncovered. But having it, keeping the majority of my hair out of my face seems to be working to stop me touching my face so often. But I did have a whole panic about cultural appropriation before I started wearing it, but then I did quite a lot of research online and about the different cultures and different reasons people had for wearing of headscarves and various head coverings, and from a historical perspective, and the different countries that have a history of wearing of headscarves. And I watched a couple of videos as well, people talking about cultural appropriation and the wearing of headscarves. I felt slightly more comfortable with wearing one, but if you are offended by me wearing it, I'm very sorry, but I am wearing it for a purpose, and hopefully that is acceptable. But yes, I did go for a style that is less synonymous with a specific usage, particularly locally to me. So hopefully it's okay. Right, I don't think I've got any more other works in progress or projects and things on the go, but a couple of weeks ago for my daughter's, my eldest's birthday, we went to York for a Viking festival. Now, unfortunately, because of the weather, a lot of it was cancelled or moved venues and things, so it wasn't as exciting as I was hoping it would be, because she's obsessed with Vikings, which is why we went, and I always like an excuse to go and see different crafty things, and basically just go to York, because I spent a lot of the time there growing up, so it's got quite a special place for me. But whilst we were there, I did pick up a few crafty bits from the various marketplaces that were running across the city. Now, I'll include a picture here of all the bits that I got, but two of the bits I can't show you a closer up picture of, because my other half has snickled them away, because he bought them for me, but it was on the understanding that they would form part of Mother's Day present later on this month, and part of my birthday present for later on in the year, because I got a bone nail for nail binding. It was handmade and it was beautiful and it was lovely to touch, but it was quite expensive, and that was after the man had given us a discount for standing and talking to him for 20 minutes. Not that we'd asked for a discount, but I think he was just being nice because we'd spent so long talking to him. But yes, so I can't show you that. And I did get a lucette kit. Now I can see a wooden lucette from over here, but that's my daughter's, and I do have one somewhere, but I can't find it. But whilst we were at this Viking fair, I was talking to a vendor who was selling lucettes, and he was using a completely different technique to one that I'm used to and understand how to use, because my problem with the lucette is that I was only able to produce quite a baggy, loose cord, because I was just using a figure of 8 motion to work my cord in. But he was showing my daughter primarily, but I was having a good nosy over the top. 2 other methods for working a lucette cord that were a lot tighter and a lot more impressive. And then he was also showing us how to work frogging with the lucette and how to attach beads, and then loads and loads of other techniques that he'd used for like working 2 cords at a time and then joining them as you were working them, or working them entirely separately. And the lucette kit came with the lucette, a couple of bobbins for storing your thread or yarn on while you were working, and also for putting over the top of the lucette to lock your work in progress so it doesn't all fall off and come loose. And then add an instruction booklet, and then 2 lots of silks, embroidery silks or threads that came with it for working the pattern. So I'm very excited for a couple of weeks when I can have that and start working on it. But the other bits that I got were a set of handmade pins from, unfortunately the traders didn't have a business card or anything, and there was no, because it was at the small church venue rather than the Adventurers Hall venue, there was no listing of traders either. So I don't know what wonderful human being made these pins, because the woman that had made them had actually popped out to pick up some lunch. So I was talking to her husband, because he was left in charge of the stall when she was while she was out picking lunch up. But they're beautiful. Don't know what I'm going to use them for, but they were just handmade and they made me happy. And then next to him there was a lady who was spinning on a drop spindle and using a die staff, so I stopped and talked to her about using the die staff, and I noticed whilst I was there that she had some wooden squares to use for tablet weaving. They do need a bit of a sand because they've got a few rough edges around the holes, and I'd be worried about them catching on threads. But I think there's a set of 10 here, because I've done tablet weaving before, but only with cardboard, and the yarn that I was using wore through the cardboard quite quickly. So I thought if I get a set of wooden ones, they might be more robust, and I can have a go at that and practice a few different patterns and designs. So that's exciting. And I think that was everything. Now I realise that said it was going to be a quick roundup of what I've been doing, and I've spent half an hour talking to you. Yes, busy few weeks to say that I've not done anything for the last week apart from sew nighties and pillowcases. Oh yes, I also made outfits for both girls for World Book Day, so I'll insert some pictures as well. So I made a pair of dungarees. Oh, they're here actually. Pair of dungarees with some stash fabric. Again, it's a man-made fabric, so it's very staticky, and well, it's nice. It's a nice pattern though. It's a nice check. So I made a pair of dungarees. I didn't use a pattern, I just made it up as I went along, and they worked out okay. So I made those for my youngest daughter, because she had, they had lists of words that they had to go dressed as, and the word that she picked was factory. So I dressed her up in like a 1940s female factory worker, Rosie the Riveter type. So she had dungarees and a check shirt and a headscarf, and she looked very, very, very cute. However, she didn't actually get to wear it on World Book Day because she was poorly. She was at home and very disappointed. And I was also very disappointed because I'd spent until 1 o'clock the night before finishing her outfit off. But small children and bugs, you have to be prepared for random sicknesses and things at the drop of a hat. It was just a tummy upset, they're both fine now. And then for my eldest daughter, she decided after World Book Day last year that she wanted to be Zar from The Wizards of Once, a book by Cressida Cowell. So when they got a list of words that they had to pick from this year, she was a bit grumpy, but then realised that there were 8 different words on her list that could apply to Zar, so she could still have the outfit that she wanted, so that was alright. So for that I ended up making a waistcoat, a red waistcoat, out of an old pair of curtains, which I sort of improvised a pattern for. I used the bodice pieces, pattern pieces for that I used for the nighties, but I just lengthened them so that they were, because the nighties sort of finished just under the bosom. Not that they have bosoms because they're tiny, but that sort of height. And I obviously needed the waistcoat to come down to her hips, so I just lengthened it. And then I used the same pattern piece to just get this top shape in to make a jacket. It's like a tailcoat jacket, but without a collar or anything, because it's just a round neck. And I made that out of felt, so I didn't have to. It's actually some felt that we had left over from lining the pond, which was handy. And then I had to just self-draft a sleeve pattern for it, so hopefully I can include pictures. I did do sort of fake hair and a head bandage for my eldest, because in the book he hurts his head, so he's got a bloody section on his bandage, and then some leg wraps as well, and some, because he's got a witch stain, because he's come into contact with some evil witch magic, and so she's got face paint all up her arm basically, and she was really happy with it, and it was lovely to see her leaping about all over the place when she got to school, really proud of her outfit. And all the other girls around her are dressed as princesses and cats and other quite stereotypical, predictable female things. And there she is, dressed as a boy wizard in a ragged tailcoat with a bandage on her head. And she was happy as anything. So that was lovely to see. And I think if they don't close the schools with the whole coronavirus thing, if they keep them open, next Friday she's got to dress up again. In fact, they both might have to, as somebody who changed the world, apparently. So I might have a new outfit to be making. I was trying to push her towards sort of Marie Curie or you know, somebody, or a Hedy Lamarr, you know, a woman that made a big difference in a predominantly male environment at the time, and no, she's decided that she wants to be Coco Chanel. So that could be an interesting outfit. A real test of my couture sewing techniques, which are basically non-existent. But we shall see. Everything might be cancelled before we even get to next Friday, and I might just be doing a quick charity shop upcycle, which I think is probably the way to go anyway, actually, because I'm not sure I've got any fabric in stash that is going to be suitable for outfits for either of them at the minute, because I think I'm gradually whittling my way down on the man-made fibres, and the bits that are left in sort of garment making quantities now, stuff that I want to use, basically. So I don't want to be using them for outfits for fancy dress for school that they just wear for one day. Although the dungarees that I've made for Erica, I just need to finish them off properly, and she can have them in her everyday wardrobe because she loved them so much. And thankfully I know my girls are very fancy dress obsessed. They've got fancy dress boxes with outfits that have been handed down from cousins and friends and things, and basically when they get home from school, instead of changing into a different outfit, like of their own clothes, they will put some fancy dress outfit on. So I know they will get worn more than once, and enough to justify making them. So that's alright. Right, enough of my waffling. I need to go drink my coffee and might actually do some knitting. Although really I do need to do some pattern writing. Maybe I'll just watch a podcast instead. Who knows? Anyway, right, I hope you are all well and looking after yourselves, and I will speak to you in a couple of weeks, assuming there's no major crisis in the meantime. Right, take care. Bye bye.